Shalom Yasharallah, this is your brother Dawud from GMS Tampa Bay '07, coming at you with this here truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praises unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Ruach Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of great millstone that taught me this truth and that rule well. And salutation and much love for you, Akim, pushing this truth and sincerity on the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to edify and feed the elect. All right. So continuing on, going down this here road to the build up of World War III, we covered quite a bit of things. Now we branched off into this ISIS deal, right? And showing the importance of ISIS and the justification of why America need ISIS to survive, to justify them with their bombing and how do I say, stealing and crippling and destroying these areas like Syria, all right, and Iraq as well, all right, and moving on into Iran, to play out their plan, because they had a plan back in the day to take over these nations, but they ain't gonna just use their military in the open officially, like, all right, U.S. military or U.S. government waging war on, Iraq, U.S. military or government waging war on Libya. They're not doing it that way. They're doing it the way that you see it played out now, using these terrorists, all right? Like George Bush said, global war on terrorists, all right? But we went through the articles of how they created them and how they set them up, you know what I'm saying, and why it's important for them to survive, what the importance of them is, and what the benefits that America get from having ISIS in these areas, all right? So now we in these, in a time now where, you know what I'm saying, basically, in this here fight, what you really have is, like I said, ISIS in them is a backup, is basically a front for U.S. CIA, okay, and Mossad, right? Israeli Mossad. But what you have them doing now, they located in Iraq and Syria. But let's talk about just Syria, right? So what you have is the Syrian president Bashar al-Assad, like, legitimately actually fighting these motherfuckers, right? That's a legitimate fight. He actually fighting them, all right? Because for one, they up in his spot. Two, that the Americans trying to topple him, and it's open. That's what they trying to do. They trying to overthrow Bashar al-Assad. You know what I'm saying? And Hillary Clinton said, "Don't matter if he live or he die, he gotta go." You know what I'm saying? But nevertheless, this is what's going on over there, and Bashar al-Assad is legitimately fighting the terrorists, okay, and also Russia is aiding him and legitimately fighting the terrorists, right? And they actually are legitimately killing these terrorists off, right? They actually legitimately killing them, and how do I say, trapping them in the circles and just running through them, right? So in previous times, what happened was in Duma, and also where was the other place? Raqqa, I believe. All right. What happened was, and in Mosul, that's what I was thinking about beforehand. I believe Mosul is the place of Nineveh. All right. When they was about to, they was like, all right, we about 2 days away from liberating Mosul. You know what I'm saying? They came out with some kind of crazy ass attack, so-called, and blamed it on ISIS, right? Which would justify America going in there and so-called bombing the area. But when America goes in and bomb the area, they make a mistake and miss the target they trying to hit and accidentally fuck up Syrian military equipment, not to say Russian military equipment, but basically the people who fighting against the terrorists for real, to so-called slow down and stop the fight against the terrorists, all right? So, again, this is America's proxy. This is what they're using to fulfill their agenda to get what they want, right? So now you can come to a point to where, again, like I said, Bashar al-Assad in Syria and also Vladimir Putin in Russia are serious about the war on these terrorists in Syria. So they seriously killing them, right? So they got them off into this little area, right? And which Russia didn't expose, which I went to that in the article, that ISIS is being able to thrive and being protected, and we can't go in there, and the UN Security Council can't go in there, because basically now we up to date right now where we at now, today, right? There's a camp out there, all right, on this border, but it's sheltered by the U.S., the U.S. coalition, the whore and the beast, NATO and them, you know what I'm saying? They blocked by them, and even the UN Security Council can't even go in and investigate, you know what I'm saying? And Russia and Syria want to bomb the shit out of them niggas and kill off the rest of the terrorists, which everybody will want that. If we kill the terrorists, we got a world peace, right? In the so-called carnal sense of things, which the white man want you to believe, but that ain't the real story, But see, America and them is losing this fucking war, you know what I'm saying? Because if Bashar al-Assad in Syria and Vladimir Putin in Russia dominate and kill up all these terrorists, the rest of the strongholds, then the war on terror would be done and over with. There would be no more ISIS in them. And Syria, you'll still have like al-Nusra, but it's the same shit, right? But basically, you wouldn't have no more terrorists, right? And therefore the Americans' stay would not be justified. You know, the American police wouldn't necessarily have to be in Syria no more, and the Syrians can worry about getting their shit back together. And Bashar al-Assad ain't got to be fearing his life and being in fear of, you know, basically the Americans trying to assassinate his ass and steal his shit, right? So this is why America need ISIS to survive over it, because if they die, if they get killed off, then that's it for them. They got to go home, right? So you got them in a hard spot. And what we seen happen in the past was when these things happened, like just not too long ago in Duma, same shit happened, right? Bashar al-Assad and them had them terrorists circled, right? And then Russia even came out, was like, yo, America using the white helmets, and they look like they're planning a chemical attack using chlorine gas inside of Duma, all right? And so what happened right after that, there was a so-called chemical attack in Duma where Donald Trump had threatened beforehand if Bashar al-Assad did that, there was going to be strong reaction, right? He already told him, if you do this shit's going to pop, right? But then the Russians said, look, under our investigation, we found out y'all planning this shit, right? Nobody covered that, you know. Then the attack happened, and immediately, instead of, you know, Russia and Syria wanted to have an independent investigation to see what really happened, you know what I'm saying? America immediately went over there without nobody's justification or authority and just bombed the fuck out of Syria. Not even like no terrorists. They bombed like, you know, military positions or governmental positions. All right, like, wait a minute, nigga. Well, they blame the government, right? They didn't blame necessarily the terrorists. Well, they kind of did, but it was like, well, shit, fuck it, we gonna take it out on the government. You know what I'm saying? On their targets, like they always do. This is what they over there doing. They actually bombing the infrastructure. All right, fucking up the water lines, the oil fields, like in Iraq. When they went into Iraq at first, you know what I'm saying? They was bombing the pipeline so that the oil couldn't be transferred to disrupt their economy and hijack that shit so they could go in and rebuild it, and they own, you know, and they could tax that shit, you know. They fuck up the waterways and all that type of shit like that, you know. But nevertheless, in this scenario, all right, again, you see the terrorists being cornered, all right, or America, their proxy being cornered, all right, which they about to get kicked up out this shit. Now they back up against the wall and they letting you know what their plan is. We about to use another chemical attack, blame it on the terrorists. Then we gonna come in and step in and then bomb Syria and a governmental property for the reason they're for being, all right. But this time, you know, again, Russia is pre-warning them, like beforehand. They tell them beforehand, all right, what's gonna happen, all right. So it says, U.S. plans to use fake chemical weapons attack in Syria, or to strike Syria. Russian Minister of Defense says, all right. So again, this ain't, you know, no conspiracy theory. This ain't what I'm saying, what they saying, somebody tinfoil hat saying. This is what an official state government official is saying in the open, you know, officially. All right. So this ain't just no so-called conspiracy, but this is, you know, all through the spirit. When you're looking at this is all, because they all work together. This is the elite's plan. They just telling you what they doing before they do it. All right. So it says, the U.S. may have plans to use a fake chemical attack in Syria to hit governmental forces with airstrikes. Like I was just explaining, they'll be like, all right, they're going to use the terrorists to do it, but then they're going to take it out on the damn government and fuck up their infrastructure. All right. It says the Russian Defense Ministry said Washington is already building up strike capabilities in the Middle East. It said, like I was saying, when they were sending that strike force group off over into the Middle East and shit like that, they gearing up, moving more equipment over there for World War III. All right. This is all to build up to that. They're going to already have their shit over there. But these are the guises that they're using, the disguises they're using. It says the warning comes a day after the Russian military said it has information about a looming provocation in Syria's Idlib governorate. All right. So they already got the info, the intel on it. It says which would involve a staged or false flag chemical weapons attack. The U.S. now, speaking of which, how the fuck, you know what I'm saying? America expect the world to believe that Syria is like the Syrian government or whoever or people, anybody in Syria could even launch a chemical attack when, you know what I'm saying, the chemicals was removed and y'all even inspected that they was removed. You know what I'm saying? Y'all, I believe y'all was the one who made them remove the shit. You know what I'm saying? And I believe Russia was the one who carried it out and took away all the arms. So how the fuck they got chemical weapons now? Unless you didn't do a good enough job. All right. It says, now this go back to Barack Obama days with the so-called barrel bombs and his first red line being drawn. All right. This is the same ass old boring plan. All right. It says the U.S. earlier warned it would respond to a chemical weapon attack by Syrian government forces with retaliatory strikes, which would be stronger than those conducted by the U.S., the UK, and France in April. So again, this is just like last time, man. They telling you ahead of time what's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? Basically giving you a message saying, look, we about to launch a chemical weapons attack. So, cause where does that come out of? You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody boasting like, yeah, nigga, we got these new chemical weapons we just made up, nigga. We can't wait to use this shit. You know what I'm saying? They ain't got no YouTube videos out, no commercials saying we finna. Nah, nigga, y'all just came out of the woodwork one day. Y'all came on air and said, all right, listen, if y'all niggas use chemical weapons, we gonna blow the fuck out of y'all. And, you know what I'm saying? Who come up with some shit like that, you know? Only people orchestrating it. It says, in a statement published on Monday, the Russian military defense said it noted the deployment to the Mediterranean last weekend of the missile destroyer USS Ross carrying 28 Tomahawk cruise missiles on board, all right, which they're going to use to justify. All right, when they make the chemical attack, they're going to use this shit basically saying to launch their attack, which I don't actually think they're going to use this ship. They might use a different one, but it says it came after a similar move of the USS Sullivans to the Persian Gulf and the rebasing of the B-1B Lancer strategic bomber to an air base in Qatar. All right, like I said, they was moving their military equipment over there for goddamn like some real shit popping off. All right, they not just doing this for no little, you know, that's a lot of gas and resources to relocate and shit like that. They actually planning some shit. You know what I'm saying? Some big shit. And I mean, and I'm not just saying this because I'm just paranoid. Russian military defense people is saying like, yo, the strategic niggas who look at shit like this is saying this shit openly. All right, this ain't no conspiracy. This is just, hey, the Lord is drawing all these nations into the valley of Jehoshaphat, all right, to the Lord's decision where he gonna judge them, and this is the method that they using. It says the Russian ministry said preparations are the latest evidence of a U.S. intention to use the expected provocation. Speaking of the chemical attack, the statement reiterated that the Hayat Tahrir al-Sham militant group, previously known as al-Nusra Front, was preparing for a staged chlorine attack in the city of Idlib. So again, they'll use their damn little proxies, all right, al-Nusra, ISIS, the white helmets, whoever, which is all the same shit, all right. They'll use these people to carry out the attack, and then they just basically blame it on the government, right? It says it alleged that a group of jihadists trained in the handling of chemical weapons by British private military contractor Olive Group has already arrived in Jish al-Shangar. The group will stage decontamination of victims of staged chemical attack poison as members of the notorious White Helmet Group, the ministry claimed. So like I said, they got the whole shit planned out. They got how it's going to work out. You know what I'm saying? You can see it on TV right now. You know what I'm saying? Oh, well, you know, there was a chemical attack. We don't know who did it. Oh, now al-Nusra or ISIS is claiming responsibility for it. And you see on TV the white helmet spraying down little kids, and then Nikki Haley off in court talking about something. Look at the pictures of these kids, or I don't have to show you the pictures time and time again. Why would you allow a monster like this to do this? Like, wait a minute, bitch. Didn't you just say al-Nusra did this? Didn't you just say ISIS did this? You know what I'm saying? What the fuck that got to do with Bashar al-Assad? This is the nigga who killing these niggas. Like, if anything, why don't y'all link up and go kill these niggas together? But in reality, these are your proxies that's doing this for this same said purpose, for the same reason that I'm stating right now. You need them to conduct these types of attacks, so you justified in going in and blowing these people up. All right? And this is the next new false flag that they trying to get to push forward. They trying to get everybody on board with to wage war over there. All right? It says the implementation of this provocation, which is being conducted with the assistance of the British intelligence services, is meant to serve as the latest pretext for the U.S., Britain, and France to deliver a missile strike against the state and economic facilities in Syria, General Igor Kalashnikov, spokesman for the Russian Defense Ministry, said. And like I said, this justification for them going over there fucking up the infrastructure for multiple reasons. So cutting off the economic all right, so you go into, let's say, Syria, who depend on oil and shit like that, you know, oil sales. You fuck up their oil supply, they can't get no money, which would in turn fund their military, which would in turn weaken their military. All right, or you go in and you blow that shit up and you steal their resources or rebuild the shit, and now you own the rights to the oil fields, the water fields, and so on and so forth. Now you basically taking their shit. You know what I'm saying? You stealing countries. All right, but this is what they telling you flat out in the paper here. You know, the MI6, British intelligence, the CIA, America. You know what I'm saying? And Mossad and all of them niggas. They secret services, more or less to say, secret shadow police and governments is out here hijacking shit. You know what I'm saying? This is they move. Their whole plan is being laid out, you know? Like the scriptures say, how the things of Esau sought out, you know? How you on blast like that? How you exposed all out in the open? You know, now the nations is saying, is this the man which did weakest the nations? All right, these are these articles that we looking at right now. These nations, like Russia, is openly exposing them. Like, yo, look at this nigga just blowing up everybody, bombarding their ass, you know? It says on August 22nd, the U.S. National Security Advisor John Bolton stated that if the Syrian regime uses chemical weapons, we will respond very strongly, and they really ought to think about this a long time, letting them know. Like, that's how you know that this is going to be a staged attack. Like, first of all, like, where did y'all come up with this information? Like, y'all got some kind of information that anybody is planning this shit? Because, first of all, you saying it's the terrorists that's going to do it. But the terrorists is yo niggas. Y'all don't got no so-called real info on them because y'all ain't trying to expose no real info on them because y'all ain't really looking to gather intel on them. All right. And second of all, you're not blaming, you're not accusing Bashar al-Assad for wrapping this shit up. And plus, you already said he ain't got no more because you made him get rid of this shit. All right. And so, like, I don't understand how you know that one person gonna do this, but you're gonna blame another person for it. And you already got your retaliatory strike already mapped out, you know, before any of this is even in question. You know what I'm saying? You got the whole new scandal worked out before there's even a problem. So, you know what I'm saying? This is how it's being exposed. Like, yo, nigga, we know what your next move is. All right. It says, in April, a reported chlorine attack in Syria's eastern Ghouta neighborhood served as a justification for the U.S., UK, and France to attack what they claim to be sites involved in a clandestine Syrian chemical weapons program. All right, as if Syria still has chemical weapons, but you know what I'm saying? Oh, but they jihadists. But jihadists or terrorists don't represent the damn government, nigga. That's two different things. You know what I'm saying? One is official and one is a so-called unofficial group. You know what I'm saying? And plus, when you think about it, these two groups are opposed to each other. Syria want these niggas dead because they fucking up their country. And they know that that's you anyway. So, don't make no sense to try to put them in the same basket. Like, oh, or not even the same basket. One of them carry out an attack and you're going to blame the other one for it. Says the missile attack came just as the team of international inspectors was set to arrive on the scene to collect evidence of the supported attack. Again, they tried to cover up the chemical attack because it was fake. Russia exposed it beforehand, tried to send in, you know what I'm saying, their own self and another party that wasn't on either side, you know, how to say a neutral party to investigate. But before they could get there, America went and bombed the whole shit. So what? They were like, oh, all the evidence is all destroyed now. You know what I'm saying? To justify it, you know? It says later, residents of the area told journalists that the footage of the treatment of the alleged victims of the attacks filmed by the white helmet groups after they orchestrated a panic at the local hospital. Okay, so in which, you know what I'm saying, the white helmets, you got to go into them. That's another one of their proxies, like ISIS, right? But this is like also like the UN peacekeeping army. All right, these motherfuckers is a front, you know what I'm saying? They just another proxy to go in and cause war. You know what I'm saying? But you would look at them as a so-called good group or good people. You know, they're not like a so-called threat. But these people are actually the people they use to stage this shit. These are all actors bought and paid by the American government for these reasons. And they all being exposed now. America basically is doing all this wickedness. They the real terrorists doing all this bullshit. You know, they talking about, oh, the white helmets is over here trying to protect these people from the chlorine attack when they just actors. You know what I'm saying? No mask on, spreading the so-called chemical contamination with the water and everything else like that. No protection, but you just filming it, causing a dramatics on screen and putting it out there. But the so-called white helmets is the people who smuggled all the shit in. That's your proxy again. All right. It says the patients that were not poisoned by chlorine, local medics said the footage was presented by the mainstream media as proof that the attack took place. Again, just further going into the fact that, you know what I'm saying, they use that as propaganda. But you know what I'm saying, you know, as the things set as far as so on, as things go on, so on and so forth, America is already in position. You know what I'm saying? You can tell by what they saying, how they posturing themselves. This is their next move. This is the next false flag is coming around the corner. You know what I'm saying? They prepared to move to the next phase, and they use these big major events like this to push the next big phase. So, you know what I'm saying? We living in these heavy times. Again, right in the right time in the season for these here prophecies to be taking place and major things to pop off. All right, that's why it's important to be watching these things and keeping your eyes open and discerning these things through the spirit. You know, so you can see basically the times that we living in. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and close out with that. Lord, want to say your lesson was edifying to the elect. Until next time, I say call halal Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, Bahashim, Rakha Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of great millstone that taught me this truth and that rule well. And salutation and much love for you. I can pushing this truth and sincerity on the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions. Stay strong. Shalom.